Thursday, June 6, 2024. This was the day that my brother and my dad finally made enough progress with the courtroom and the legal system to get my mom some help. That's when she first went into the facility this latest time around, and she's been in there since until yesterday, August 1st. And that was her first day back home after nearly 2 months in the system in these facilities. And to say that it was tough would be an understatement. I've had a number of discussions with my brother on just how close to a breaking point we are, and especially him with his proximity to it. And it's tough, man. There's a lot of things, like this was all going on during the time of me being in school, so I'm trying to study and focus and trying to keep up with all this going on. It's just a lot. I don't know if there's a simple way for me to summarize exactly how draining and exhausting the last 2 months have been. Well, more than that, it's the entire lead up is exhausting as well, just when you're trying to make something happen to get her some of the help that she needs. But having her back home now, it's hopefully a step in the right direction. But there's no guarantees. This has been a roller coaster, and it's been something where we're in and out, we're on meds, we're doing what we need to, and then we're not, and then it's times seem good, and then times get really difficult and challenging and frustrating. And you know, I had a couple different conversations, one with my brother and another one from my boss here at work, that put things in perspective a little bit. And you know, it's not something super hopeful necessarily, but I'm gonna tie this into something that I believe can give me a sense of hope, and I believe it has to. So anyways, I was talking with the owner of the company maybe a couple weeks ago, and I'm not going to go too deeply into what he said about his own situation and some of the things that he's working with, but there were some similarities when it came to dealing with people that you love, who are older and who are kind of set in their ways to a degree. And kind of the epiphany that he gave me in terms of a perspective shift is that once people get past 30, they're basically set in their ways, and unless they decide to change, they're gonna be who they are. They are who they are. And so this means that, I mean, exactly what it says, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if someone is very stubborn, they're going to continue to kind of harden into that way and settle into that kind of way. If someone is a pushover, they might settle into that kind of way. If someone has a particular view on a certain belief system, I think back to some of my time canvassing and doing literature evangelism in the ATL, Atlanta, and we would come across some people in the streets, at the homes, even in parking lots, wherever, and a lot of them being older would say, well, I appreciate what you're doing. You're out here, you're a young person trying to work your way through school, and you have these books, and there's this, what you're calling truth in there, but it's not really going to be a benefit to me because I am X denomination and I'm good. Like, I'm not really going to change. People would tell us this directly and use this as a reason of why there wasn't a purpose in them actually helping us out with the books. Some did donate, but that's besides the point. It is a thing where people get to a certain stage that they just are who they are, and everyone else has to kind of adapt to that. There may be a struggle to accept that, but I think the hard part is when you realize that the solution or The one thing that can make anything better and everything better is one simple, small choice away. That is when it's so freaking frustrating. Because you know it's right there. You know normalcy is right there. But because the person is who they are, because they may be stubborn and because they may have a certain belief system that keeps them from wanting to accept the mode of healing and normalcy that's available to them, that's the thing that generates the cycle. Now, you might hear me say that and say, well, that's not hopeful at all. Well, damn, it's not. But at the same time, if we understand what that baseline is, and we stop trying to approach a situation from, well, if I do this, I can change this. And if I do this, I can change this. And if I set this up this way, then I can change that. At some point, I have to realize that people are going to do what they're going to do. And their choices are their choices. And if they don't want to make certain choices, they're not going to. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can continue to show up and do whatever and say whatever and try to encourage however. But people are who they are. And unless they make that choice, nothing changes. So the irony in that is, whereas it was a situation where we're trying to figure out, like, how can we make the environment better and how can we do these things to try to get a certain result? The idea is that we just do the things in terms of the environment and on our end because those are the best things and the right things to do, and not expect any change or any specific result, because nothing we do can produce that result. We can give the right environment, we can say the right things, we can do all the right things, but someone else has to make a choice to act on that. Just because I do this does not guarantee that the other person is going to make a choice favorably towards what I'm doing. So there's a slight difference in perspective there. And the reason that this is important is because now I'm not looking at the things I'm doing in the sense of success and failure because the other person didn't choose what I was hoping that they would choose. And by extension, if I'm looking at the things I'm doing in the lens of success and failure, when that choice doesn't happen, then I stop doing the good things that I felt would be beneficial for that person, my mom in this case, because, well, I didn't get the outcome I wanted. So maybe I need to do something different. I'm gonna throw all that out and just do what I can. Do what I can to show up and to be, and whatever happens, happens. There is a very disappointing sense of, man, we're doomed to this cycle for as much longer as it's going to last. But at the same time, I can't let the outcome or the results influence who I choose to be and the things that I choose to do. I need to just be that person and provide the things that I can provide regardless of the result. Now I understand that, but I'm not saying it's easy. Because we are creatures that love to see results. We love to see the fruits of our labors. We like it when something turns out the way that we hoped because of all the effort and the work that we were putting in. But sometimes, in some situations where we can't control everything, and especially not the other individuals who are a part of the situation, I can't make the choice for them. That's what I was telling my brother in our conversation yesterday. It's like, if it was up to him, well, shoot, man, everything would be good right now because my brother's making a lot of great choices and he's putting a lot of effort in to helping my mom. If it was up to his choice, we'd already be good. But it's not. It's not. And that's what makes it tough and exhausting and exasperating, because you feel like you're putting all of this in and you're getting nothing. But sometimes it isn't about the outcome. Sometimes it's about who we choose to be and who we continue to be, even in situations that are destroying us, really. It's a hard thing to say, but I believe that's the reality. The irony came when I was thinking about Lamentations and how you have this people who Jeremiah continually, the first 3.5 chapters, he's talking about all of these crazy things that they've been through. He's describing all of these bad things, this despair, this destruction. Jerusalem is destroyed. The people are losing their children. They're losing their future. There's so many different ways that Jeremiah describes all the bad things that are happening in that first half of the book. But he gets to the middle of the book and he starts changing his tune, in a sense. In the middle of chapter 3, he starts talking about the Lord's mercies are new every morning. His compassions don't fail. Like, in the midst of all of this, God still cares about us. And what he was really getting at is this relationship that Jeremiah had with God. Because of the relationship that they had, Jeremiah knew that God could handle hearing all of the struggling and all of the pain. And he also realized that just because this stuff was happening didn't mean that God was gone. The people thought that God was gone and that God had abandoned them and that God was doing all these things to them. But God was still there to be with them in the midst of that struggle. When I read what the people of Israel went through, my situation is nowhere near that. But if Jeremiah could see that and be a part of that, experience that, and still hold on to his relationship with God, despite the struggle, then I have to have faith that in a practical sense, that's something that I'll be able to experience as well. And it's not easy, because this idea of input versus outcome, this is something that impacts everything that we do. Everything. I just finished a workout here, right? How many people have started working out and they don't see any results? They put in, they have the input for like a week or two. They see no outcome and they stop putting in the input. How many people get on a diet and they start eating differently? They got the right input, but they don't see any change. They don't feel any different. And in some cases, they feel worse because of the change. They don't like the outcome. So they go back to what they're used to. How many people, when it comes to studying, they'll read and they'll do what they need to, what they feel they need to do. They'll do the research. They don't get a good grade, so they drop out. So many times we base our actions and the things that we do on the outcome. And it's harder for us to focus on continuing to put in, regardless of the result. It's that doing versus being creeping back up again. No surprise there. But we do it in everything. We do it in everything. I have to find some hope there. And I do, in a sense. It definitely doesn't make the situation easier. But I think the two big takeaways that I have is, one, let me just keep showing up and being who I need to be, regardless of the outcome. And two, let me not stop doing, I guess it's the same thing, but I don't want to stop putting in because I'm not getting the outcome that I want. So I think I just said the same thing two different ways. It really comes down to that one thing. I don't want the outcome to determine my input. I want my input to stay consistent no matter what. So that's what it is. I'm going to keep on sharing here and trying to learn more about this and process through this. Talking about it is helpful with other people and even into a camera here. And any of you out there who may be checking this out. I know we all have different things that we go through. And I just hope that something in this reflection can be of a benefit to you with the different things that you're going through. We all have things. But I believe we can make it. I believe we can make it. So my next task is to be, and even though I'm pretty sure my mom doesn't want to talk to me right now, part of my being is going to be to give her a call and to create the space and the opportunity to have a conversation. So that's what I'm going to do. Wish me luck. Pray for me and the fam, and we'll see how it goes. But I keep you updated. Stay strong. And at the end of the day, don't let the outcome change your input. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.